a group of professors, Britishers as well as Indian Britishers, have produced a report called Casteism in UK. It's available. And they have clearly found out it is institutionalized in the US. And in UK. In the US, I have come across instances of honor killing because an Indian generation, second generation Indian kid married a black woman. That was not to be tolerated, so that our dad planned and killed the daughter-in-law and so on. There are instances. Then now, thankfully, some anti-caste groups in the US are mobilizing senators in the US to put across a research body to investigate casteism among Indians. Hopefully they succeed. Once they do it, there is a possibility. But I also see the negative. A few minutes ago I said in my talk, the temples in the US are almost going to cross 1,000. And whatever they have done in India, so temple, I draw this to my students in Göttingen University here in Germany to point out. So you have the temple, freshwater zone, it is surrounded by privileged caste group, particularly the Brahmins, and then the lower caste, that's how it goes as concentric circles. That is almost reproduced in a place like New Jersey, US. Please go and see. So, and the pedigree of the priest is tested before the guy boards the plane to become a priest in New Jersey temple. So all this, so it's literally reproduced. So there's a kind of a mixed bag right now. Thankfully, some Punjabi anti-caste Sikhs, they are organizing. There are this Ambedkar International Mission group that is there, doing a very dynamic job. So there is this kind of more literature against caste is happening among the diaspora. Hopefully that goes, but I'm deeply worried about that. I'm not very positive about this because the believers in the caste system in the US, they are earning millions in dollars, which is equal to 75 or 60, like euros. And they are pumping in a lot of money into India to promote this kind of caste privileging movement and so on. So I don't see, that's going to be a very dangerous trend sociologically, this external euro and dollar being pumped into India, reproducing the caste structure, temple structure, in which Brahmin women and others would be marginalized in a big way, and the other groups too. So that's a little pessimistic, but I'm hopeful about the anti-caste Indian diaspora that is beginning to thrive in Europe and US, which can bring in interesting, because their kids are going to schools like Columbia, Berkeley and so on, so they may radically produce interesting sociology, which we in India are not able to do, because Indian education system throttles you, not again. So you use the word Brahminical, you are out of the admission list. You use casteism, you are out. So you talk about Dalit, you are okay. You talk about violence a bit, you are okay. But interrogating caste is not allowed in India. So these are the tragedies, and so there's a hope from Western Academy to interrogate this more, if they make the next positive move. Yeah.
I think I would just add that, see, the diaspora practices it. It's not that they are absolutely unaware of this discrimination. Okay, so there are segregated housing in the UK. There are separate gurudwaras, the Sikh temples of Dalit caste Sikhs and the upper caste Sikhs. So there are different already places of worship. It's clearly demarcated in London. It's not like something imaginary. Obviously, violence is not part of it. So violence is big part of it in India. The reason is simple: they can get away with the violence. The reason that they can do violence in India against the Dalits or lower caste is simply because they can get away with the violence. They can never be prosecuted. The legal, like the rate of prosecuted people is hardly some 0. Some person against. So there is this atrocity acts against Dalits and tribals. So under those acts, those who are arrested, barely 0. Some people are actually finally go to the jail. So because the reason that they know that they can get away with it, they do violence. But in the West, they know that they cannot get away with violence, because the state, the police machinery is not with them. And one of the reasons there is no violence on base of caste is, my theory is this, because you cannot get away with violence in the West. And the second thing is, if you go back to the UK, there are lots of reports, and there are people who have been discriminated at the jobs, at the workplace on the basis of caste. So there are South Asians, and within the South Asians they have been discriminated. That person has gone to the court of law in the UK and they have got compensation. So these cases have already been reported. So, and now more and more people are now coming out and reporting these cases. Earlier people were like, obviously it's being a Dalit is not a very powerful identity. It's a very stigmatized identity. So you don't really boast about this identity. It's a very shameful identity and the way the caste structure works. It's not the best identity. Of course, being a Brahmin is a very powerful identity. You can say I'm a communist, I'm a very progressive person, and I'm still a Brahmin. Okay, so this is how it works. It's a stigmatized identity. You never boast about stigmatized identities. And that's how it works. So I think the West, whoever travels, they know who they are and know the things work. It's just that it works differently because they don't have a state power. You don't have police with you, you don't have judiciary with you. And so yeah, the violence explanation is that.
Yep, I have one suggestion for you. That is like if you are focusing on caste system, I am reading Bible. Bible summary is about all humanity is equal, and summary of it is you should be kind of one person to another person, one living person to another living person. And the summary of Mahabharata and Ramayana is what you know when you study is all living person should be kind to one person to another person.
Fair enough.
And one more thing, I'm not it's like telling about great things about Hindus and everything. I am not especially a point of it's like one religion is better, one religion is not better. I am not that kind of guy. At the last day, who you are is humans. That's what matters. If a person is human or any person is person, that what makes me a person is being a kind. That's what makes a person is person. Apart from that, nothing matters, I think so. You are pointing about the caste and everything. You just are forgot about to, it's like where it is started. It's like you are completely ignored where does it started. Starting point is you can find in Ramayana, Mahabharata. Those two are very primary means of caste system. I think you can find it.
Now, what do you mean by starting point? Could you elaborate on that? I would like to know. Starting point of caste.
There are Chatur Varna, I think someone explained, I didn't remember who explained. From Chatur Varna only caste system came. According to my knowledge, I have read some, it's like I didn't complete it, I am not completely focused on that, but I do have a curiosity. Why I had curiosity, I am struggling till now. Still I couldn't find it. Chaturvarna. From Chaturvarna, you have mentioned Vaishyas, Brahmins, Kshatriyas, and final that is I don't know, Shudra. So these are Chaturvarnas, 5 Varnas.
4.
Chatur is 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, sorry, 4. From these 4 Varnas, last one is that one. No, we said untouchables.
That was added
that
later.
Is added is 5th one. That's what I said. 5.
No. So Chaturvarna means 4, and the untouchables were added later to that count. So it was the origin is only 4 Varnas.
There are stories.
That's why it's Chatur.
How they are overcome the Chaturvarna from one to another. There are stories. It's like suppose Brahmins is there. Brahmins only can marry Brahmins. In Ramayana age, there is a king called what is it?
Can I actually? Sorry,
I think the question is becoming too long.
Yeah,
And we are
I'm
slightly
just
running out of
explaining,
time.
sorry.
Could you shorten it a little,
I think-
or
I think
No,
can I
from
just-
what I am summarizing, like
Yeah.
in Ramayana,
Could you just
Mahabharata,
use, like,
it's not mentioned like.
maybe to us, because we have like
Yeah,
five
just
minutes.
I'm summarizing,
time
sorry.
constraints,
We
so
have 5
please
minutes
just
right
get
now,
to the
so-
point.
No, in whatever
I
the
think,
story is.
can I just respond to you? I think I get your point of the question, that at some point in history, according to Ramayana and whatever Mahabharata, caste system was very ideal and it was mobile, people could do whatever, right?
Yeah.
People could move, okay, fantastic. So the point is, we can debate on the origins and the great idea of the structure it was and how mobile it was, okay? I am personally not interested in going to the origins. I am interested in how it affects today. And the way it affects today, that there is no mobility. No matter an untouchable can be great learned Sanskritist or whatever, he can never become a Brahmin. And that's the problem. So your ideal society where people could move between different varnas is great. Okay, let's assume it is a great idea. I still will think that it's a problem. Why would some people be assigned to serve the other three groups? Okay, so your idea that origin, so this is one of the images that the India wants to project, that the caste in its origin was not bad, right? The problem is it was bad even then, and that the reason that it has survived through, it is a problem. Why do only certain castes actually reproduce power? And that's where the problem. Why do certain untouchables have to do all the dirty jobs? And that is a problem, and that needs to be questioned. Why do women are actually excluded from it? Till mid-19th century, women were not allowed to take education. In Western India, Maharashtra, it was Jyotirao Phule who was the first person actually to break this thing that no, women, untouchable, everyone should get education. So I think what you are saying is an ideal image of India, that in this ideal image, everything should move up and down. But what we are talking is the practical image of India. And in that image, unfortunately, there is no mobility, nobody is going from up and down. And that's what we need to talk about. So I think right now the discussion is about the real situation in India and what needs to be done about it.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to talk in another session about what was ideal and what could be ideal. I think so that.
There is a change in Tirupati, I think so. From Dalit, there is he is playing a god. He is the pujari, what we call. Thank you.
Do we have one short question?
Yeah, I have a short question. Sorry. Your short?
Let's entertain.
Okay, let's both short questions.
Okay, yeah. So mine is because I'm from India and my friend told me, this whole thing about Dalit, the discussion about Dalit makes us look bad because it's not happening in Germany, and why are we discussing this in Germany? It's not me.
Fair enough.
I know that.
I also came for this one.
I want to say sometimes you can define the conflict between one minority and one majority, but sometimes between the oppositions there are different branches. I want to know, do you have any idea about the lower castes in that structure? How is the relations and benefit in commons for them, for the lower caste itself? Is it easy to unify them against the main structure or not?
Good. So, Sumeet, could I?
Yeah.
So, taking the second question first, that's what I kind of touched upon this in my earlier